y dos, y dos, una, y dos, una, y dos.
Hello and welcome to Cortesnyc Livestream, the podcast. This show broadcasts twice a week out of New York City. We are your hosts, Cortesnyc
and Carla de Puerto Rico.
And on the show, we talk about art, creativity, city life from a Latino perspective. I'm a visual artist.
And I'm a singer.
And this is episode 19, Beauty of Color. We have a special guest, Visine Queen. She's a cannabis influencer as well as an artist. In Art Life, we're going to be having a conversation with her about feminine beauty in classical art.
And also in Culture Talk, we're going to be talking about colorism, Amara La Negra, and some of Latino community issues.
And I want to give special shout outs. First and foremost, Tabs One got me here doing this commission, this Predator commission. I'm sure you guys have been watching me sketching and inking. Hope to have that done soon. Shout out to JJ Smook, D Menace, D Double, Sec Loco, Monochrome Books. I got the book in the mail. Thank you, homies. Out there in the UK, Distract, Nova GWB, The Apparition 718, Hablando Plepas, hope to record with you soon, TK in the AM. If you haven't heard them, go check them out, TK in the AM. And Chico and the Grin, hope to record with you soon.
Y un saludo a mi gente de Puerto Rico que se han tirado a la calle a protestar, a luchar por sus derechos. Nunca dejen de hacerlo. Muy pronto nos van a escuchar. Aquí los apoyamos siempre.
All right. So we have Visine Queen here, cannabis influencer and artist.
Yes.
Describe for me, what is cannabis influencer? This is interesting. I like that title.
The title basically means somebody who's just in the space of cannabis and promotes positive use, promotes different types of products that also enhance the lifestyle. Go to parties, go to different events, and kind of just be present in what it is to define the legalization of what's going on, maybe in Jersey or New York or any of my surrounding areas. So that's really what I do, is kind of just enhance what it is to be in the world of cannabis and like show it from my perspective. I have been doing this for about, you could say maybe 10 years now.
All right. I'd like to explore, that subject a little more. Maybe we'll get into that a little later. But all right, so we're here to talk about beauty. What is beauty in art? We all look for beauty as an artist. When I first got into it, obviously I want to make something look beautiful, whether it's a beautiful drawing, a beautiful sculpture, whatever I'm doing. I would even say in graffiti, as a graffiti artist, you look to make your graffiti piece be beautiful, right? I've made the comparison at times that my graffiti pieces, I want them to represent a female figure. It should have slick curves. It should be sharp. It should be attractive. It should grab attention. When I do my pieces, I want you to look at it and say, it's beautiful, but it looks dangerous, at the same time. I think there's something about graffiti also, in graffiti lettering, you want it to be bubbly. You want it to be fun. You know what I mean? You want it to look wild. A wild style describes a woman also. I think there's a relation between artists and the impression of a woman or a female femininity, beauty, and how they all come together. So I thought it was an interesting topic. I thought it was something that we could explore, especially right now in this episode. I'm surrounded by women here. I got Carla de Puerto Rico and Visine Queen.
Well, I mean, art in itself, like the art you just described, starting from women, the view of it, it's kind of a celebration of women. Sometimes we have kind of a bad stigma in certain parts of the world, but when it comes to art has kind of always had a real big celebration of women's bodies, their flow, their curves, how graceful they look when they're just sitting there, maybe them amongst some animals, amongst children, or just a celebration of woman in itself. Art has kind of always included that in there, even if it's silent.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, and it's a celebration, and then sometimes people use it as a negative. And that's something else we'll talk about, is how the celebration of one person's view of what is beautiful can sometimes impact other people where they feel left out or they feel discriminated against, that kind of thing. Art and beauty, I can't start this topic without going all the way back in time to BC, 28,000 BC, the Ice Age, and also back in time for me, because this is one of the first things that I learned when I studied art history. The first sculpture, or what they consider the first sculpture that we found, the earliest sculpture, which is the Venus of Willendorf, is what they call it. Visine, you were telling me about it. You know a little bit about it. What do you know about that sculpture?
What I was saying was that at the time that it was found, or as far as I remember on something that I watched a few years ago, is that was kind of the first representation of that kind of a body figure that they had ever found in a prehistoric way. So they had never, or they hadn't seen as often artifacts that kind of celebrated that kind of a body type in its purest form. Chubby, if you will, with large breasts, full frame, but very tall, standing, kind of proud, just kind of celebrating the body itself. So it was surprising for the time that something like that could be found, that it was celebrating that kind of a visual of a woman back then, for however old it is.
Yeah. So that little Venus sculpture, for anybody who doesn't know, basically it's a little stone sculpture that was found, prehistoric. It looks like a little ball. If you were to look at it, it's about the size of your hand. It fits in your hand, and it's made out of stone and it's carved. Some people interpret it. We don't know all the facts because I was even looking for more research on it, and everybody doesn't know the full story on it. It hasn't been found yet, the real story behind it. But they assume that it's some sort of fertility figure, or maybe just an idealized female figure at the time. Some people say it might be a pregnant woman. It might represent pregnancy. It's basically a small, full-figured female with large breasts, the way you described it. And then the hair, they don't know whether it's a hair or it's a hat that she's wearing. But it's a very simplified form, yet you can tell that it's a human form. That's the interesting part, is that even though it's an iconic simplification of a female, our human instinct lets us know that's definitely a female that we're looking at. The interesting thing about that, and I think that ties into other subjects, is we found his form, but we call it the Venus of Willendorf. So we apply a Greek term, a Venus, a god of love, and we apply it to this thing that is prehistoric, that has nothing to do with Greek culture or any Venus or anything like that. And then the fact that in modern times, we still use the Greek standard of beauty in our fashion, in our modern thinking. I mean, even all the way to what we're looking at right now with the superhero movies. The goddesses and the gods, and what is it? Wonder Woman is
she's almost like a representation of a Venus in the superheroes world.
The superheroes, the gods of war and all this kind of stuff, and video games and all that. It's interesting that we still use these old ideals, even though we know so much about so many different cultures now. We are so mixed, and so everybody knows so much about the world, yet we still use this old thinking, right? We still kind of look at each other and use old vocabulary when describing each other. And I think that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's that it goes back to the European view or the Greek view. That was the first thing that it was actually written, that then we have documents that talks about supposedly beauty image and how we should see each other. And then that's the beginning of supposedly history and society, to then the European view, to then everything that we're living right now. So I think because it goes so back, I don't think it's gonna go away anytime soon. I think that we have that impregnated in us, even though we didn't live that time. We didn't live with the Greeks, but we know how they think, because that's how history is based. History is based in that.
Yeah. I mean, when we think of the Venus, we think of Venus de Milo. If I were to tell you, hey, tell me what is the Venus? What is Venus? Venus is Venus de Milo. It's that Greek sculpture with the arms missing.
Arms cut off.
Yeah. The ideology of the Greek times was, like a modest body figure. It was full, but it was modest. It was modest breasts, a little curvy, nothing too voluptuous, nothing too, eye-catchy. You know what I mean? It was kind of like more about the idealized, what they considered an idealized form, idealized proportion of the head to the arms and that kind of stuff. You box yourself into a tricky ideal because a lot of us aren't the ideal proportions. I remember when I was first learning how to draw, a lot of us learn how to draw these concepts. When you teach you to draw, they teach you to draw the human figure is 7 to 8 heads tall. the arm distance to the head, to the shoulders, the eyes, the symmetry in the eyes, and the where it should land on your head. In comic books and comic book drawing, they teach that almost like it's science. Like you should learn this because this is scientifically true, but it's not. And the villains are always drawn out of proportion, and the heroes are always drawn perfectly in proportion to the ideal, the Greek ideal.
Right.
That's horrible, because I'm sure that's relatable in real life too. When you look at people,
exactly, and
that
that
you'll automatically assume someone isn't of the norm or isn't a good person because they're tall or oblong or are bow-legged and stuff like that. And that's kind of messed up that you make that point, because then it kind of speaks to why disabilities aren't really acknowledged or respected in this day and time.
Exactly. 100%. And sometimes when people say, "Oh, that person has a blocky figure or has no curves," that woman has no curves. They have bodies like boxing.
Or he's built like a linebacker.
Yeah. Or he's got a big head. He's got look at they have short arms. They have long arms. There's a lot of that goes around, and I think that comes from art, from art ideals. These art ideals have some philosophy behind them that might be a little twisted. They might have to be updated, No,
that's why the conversation is happening, because everything that we're looking at in today's day is based off of Roman Catholic times, and there's a particular reason why Washington, D.C. in its majority looks like Rome to a certain extent. It's built off of the design of the buildings of Rome. Like, everything is kind of in homage to the Roman times, not only just the art and the physicality of things, but like you said, in comic books, in reality, maybe even the English that we speak today, the way we speak it. And, our obsession kind of with Rome comes from those times, and we're still following it. A lot of people are awakening to it, but I think it's important to know the history first before you can even approach what's going on right now.
True.
Yeah.
True that. I remember the first time that I took a figure drawing class. A lot of the stuff that you learn in a figure drawing class when you're drawing people that are different proportions, and I think that the art teachers purposely don't give you models. They give you figure drawing models are different than regular fashion models. Figure drawing models look like you and me. They look like regular people. They have body fat. They're sometimes they have the women maybe have given birth and have they've had multiple children. Their bodies are not the model fit type of figure for fashion, for clothing. They're more just people that can pose well and give you a good impression when they pose. So you'll see women that you're not used to seeing, especially when you're young and you're in art school. You're like 18, 19, and you're in an art school and you're seeing a woman that might look like your mother. You know what I mean? A motherly figure, and they're nude and they're in front of you and you're drawing this and you're thinking to yourself, it's challenging what the media is putting in your head.
Yeah.
It's challenging what you've learned up to that point in comic books. It's challenging what you've seen in cartoons. And a lot of these things that they do in comics and a lot of this idealization of figures is out of laziness, is really what it is. People want to standardize a look, so they teach you to draw a certain way so that you can get these drawings out there, and so that people can identify an iconic image. So when you go into an art school and you start to learn figure drawing, you start to challenge these things, and your view gets more complex. You see things with a little more subtlety and a little more complexity. But I remember when I first started drawing these figures, these people, and I would look at the guys, especially. I would see guys that were older, that were in their 50s, and I was just a teenager, or late teen, early 20s, and I would be drawing these figures, and I was really looking ahead into what the future looks like for a male.
Like, wow, I'm gonna look like that.
yeah. And it's
actually,
the
Iggy
human
Pop
experience.
does it at the Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
He actually does it, I think, at the MoMA.
Oh yeah.
He's the nude figure.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's like $500-$600, but it's Iggy Pop, and he's like butt naked.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. It's Iggy Pop.
Yeah. Wow. What about you, Visine? What do you remember? What was your first introduction to art and beauty, like the mixture, like a beautiful image? What do you remember?
I remember. I guess toys have always been the vision of art for me. The prettiness of it, like maybe like a Barbie, and the visuals of how they look. The pretty blonde hair, the light skin, the blue eyes. Like for me, I do a lot of let's say, art that looks like me, but I actually tend to do more art that looks like Barbie. And that's really because of everything that I've seen my whole life. And it's not a preference, but it's really, it's your hand. It's the art that you choose to do. It's what you enjoy. So sometimes that comes out to be more of 60% of what I do because I enjoy looking at it. Also, when I was like in 6th grade, we took like a school trip to the Frick.
Okay.
And like my life like changed after that because it was like this was somebody's house and now it's like a museum and it's gorgeous. And they have like the most iconic paintings of the Renaissance period and things like that. So when I was actually in 6th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th, our school had like a Renaissance division and that was my class. So we always did like a Renaissance fair every year. We always did like a little booklet where everyone tried to do art. I actually was doing art back then, but it didn't mean anything because it was in school.
Right.
But that's kind of my first introduction to kind of the European view of the art that we have available to us right now, like in the city. And you get to see like kind of the women that we just explained, the prettiness, the simplicity, the how basic they look, but also the deepness of the oil paintings, how old they are, how long they've survived. Like, and it's just awesome. It's just awesome. Even though it doesn't represent everyone, it's still incredible to know that it exists. Like, it's still awesome to have.
True. That makes me think also of art. I mean, it just used the word European, and it makes me think, in Latin America, art has a lot of European influence. But then if you look at older, ancient art, the idea of a female figure in, let's say, Mayan culture or Inca culture or whatever, it's probably totally different. And
but then again, it was an ideal of beauty for them.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Or maybe, see, that's the thing. Or maybe I'd have to do more research on it to really have a good answer, but maybe it had nothing to do with beauty, the female figure. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that gets back into the concept that if it's a female in art, it should be the Venus. It should be something beautiful and romantic or love related, when maybe male and female wasn't really in older times based on love or even beauty.
Yeah.
The idea of a female being beautiful, why would it? Maybe the males were beautiful. In other cultures, men maybe were the beautiful ones and females weren't. I don't know. But I think that's also something that's happening now with this whole gender thing. What is beautiful? Is it beautiful to be a male? Is it now men, women, transgender, all these, different categories?
Well, actually more when Roman art is more regarded in like museums and you see it on display, you see more male-centered art than you did female. It's more, Roman art has also the celebration of the male body.
Yeah.
And that whole entire time period of Michelangelo, Galileo, and that during that time period, there was also a big celebration of the male body and the male look as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what's funny also is how when you think about beauty and you think about the celebration of beauty and all that in art, but then you have so much censorship. You have so much like we want to make beautiful figures and make them all like, oh, the woman is a beautiful body and all that, but then we want to cover them up.
Yeah, for nothing, because then you go further back in time and you think about the Kama Sutra. Like, the Kama Sutra will never die. It'll always be amongst us in some way, shape, or form, because like it is like in every form us. That's us. Like the exploration of us, the exploration of bodies, the exploration of you with one other person or other people, however many people are mentioned in that book. It's just a part of us, whether they want to censor it or not. It's a part of our life. It's a part of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about when you do a painting of a woman, of a female? This is from a male perspective, but if you do a painting of a female and it's not flattering and it's not attractive.
No, I can't.
But aren't we quick to judge? Like, if I did a painting of a woman and something about her just doesn't look beautiful, aren't you going to be the first one to jump on me and be like,
yeah,
why'd
exactly.
I don't like that. I don't like the way that looks.
Yeah, because then
I'm a stickler for it. I need you to look exactly how I expect you to look.
I think that it will be a problem because of what we're talking about, the standard of beauty. People will see that and will say, why are you looking at the figure of a female like that and representing it that way instead of looking at her, the beauty that she can represent?
Right.
And then I think, that would be funny. And it's crazy because anyways, that's the reality. Like, you're trying to bring out the reality of the figure of this person. But I guess people are too, I don't know, they just want to see the standard of beauty that is beautiful and that's it.
I've shown my figure drawings or my life drawings to people, and I'll get for the women, I'll get comments from women and men but when I'm showing them a drawing of a woman, I'll get immediately beauty comments.
Right. Uh-huh.
How the face looks, how she looks heavy, or were her breasts really like that, or really like, man, but she looks kind of tough. I don't know. She looks a little, And
it's hard out here, man. We get picked apart.
Yeah.
We get picked apart.
Seriously.
You get no breaks out here, man.
No, it's
hard. It's hard. It's confusing because it's a division between a celebration of women and the appreciation and the love of it, because who doesn't like women, period. The appreciation of it, the beauty of them, but also it's a very critical world. Like, if you choose to be naked, you'll be criticized. If you choose to be covered, you'll also be criticized.
Exactly.
If something's oblong, if something's this, if you had breast cancer and then you had to remove your breast and you got tattoos all over your chest, they'll criticize that too. It's like, you have no humanity across the board.
Yeah.
You don't get a choice in who you are or what you look like. We choose for you.
Yeah. No,
it's insane, man.
No, it's, you. I do not envy that. You women are walking pieces of art, right? You all day, every day. You guys are walking.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
You have to decorate.
So you get pointers and critiques all day long.
Exactly. Every day. You wear makeup? Good. You do not wear makeup? Not that good. Or when you do not wear makeup, that's better than when you do wear makeup. It's like,
I seen an article like that,
wow.
that it said that if you're not wearing makeup, you look less capable of doing your job than when you are wearing makeup.
Wow.
Like, because you look wasted and tired or whatever,
Yeah.
so people will perceive you as like lazy and not working. It's like, dude, it's just makeup. You don't know how annoying that is, like an extra half hour.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what would have made me late this morning.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another place where when you talk to an artist, they might have a different interpretation of what beauty is than a person who does not create, because a person who creates will understand all these key words when describing female beauty, which have to do with elegance, something that is elegant, something that has a certain line, a certain form, a certain movement. There's movement in art. Women have a certain style of movement. If a man moves a certain way, he's judged.
Exactly.
Women are expected to move a certain way.
Yeah.
Men are not allowed to move a certain way. We're supposed to be very solid and bulky.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to have a certain sway, because if we have a certain sway, then we're judged. But art always should have movement. You don't want a piece of art that is just totally still, because it's just like there's nothing to look at. Color is huge. We were just talking about color. Color is huge in art. Women are the masters of color, right? In humanity, women, whether it's makeup or the clothes that you wear, you women, let us know what we're allowed to wear. Women dress children. Women teach, kids how to dress. They teach them what colors are right and which colors are wrong.
That's funny.
we carry that into adulthood, and that lets us inform ourselves what we should wear. So they're the taste makers. Women are the taste makers. Women are the original creators of everything, and yet they're judged.
Yeah. And exactly. And right now, it's funny because, like you said, women are the creators of everything by nature, but now everything is ruled by a male figure. And it's funny because then the female, she doesn't have the freedom anymore to do whatever she was supposed to do by nature.
Well, I think we're taking that freedom back. even men too. Like men are allowed to feel. Men are allowed to cry and do
Exactly,
whatever the hell they
exactly.
want. It's like everyone's taking that freedom back. No one's taking that anymore. No one's taking that shit anymore. Everyone's gonna be exactly what they want to be, what colors they want to wear. It's hard enough as it is. It's really hard enough as it is out here for you not to be able to express yourself how you want to.
So, all right. So, swinging us back around, because we got real feminist for a second here. I got a little intimidated.
Oh my God.
But swinging us back around, beauty and art. I think I got into art to be free. I got into art to express myself, and I think so did most artists. And I think sometimes artists are afraid to make something beautiful because they might be judged. I've seen that. I've seen when artists don't want to represent beauty. They want to go against the concept of what is beautiful, and they make quote unquote ugly art. They make art that is rude or crude, that is raw, that is splattery and slashy and muted, and you're using colors that are grayed out. You don't use colors. You go against color. You draw the figure in an abstract way that is quote unquote ugly on purpose, sometimes because you're afraid to. Sometimes because you're afraid to make something beautiful. myself, I got into art to make beautiful things. Even my ugliest things I make beautiful, or the ugliest subject matters I try to make them attractive. I want my art to represent something that is appealing to the eye. Even if it's a subject matter that isn't that great. I try to sugarcoat things so that you swallow it better, in hopes that you'll accept more of the things that I'm telling you, to get that information, that line of communication going. Because for me, maybe I don't get to voice myself as much as I wish I could. So I take advantage of every time that I make art to be able to get my voice into your eyes, into your head. So it's counterproductive for me to make something unappealing.
Okay.
But that's my case, my personal.
Yeah, I try to make weed as pretty as possible. in all ways. I just try to make it bubbly and pretty. It's like bubble gum and lollipops, and hey, here's some weed too.
Which makes it fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it makes it fun. But up until, I'm going to say maybe in the past 3 or 4 years, it was never really put on the table. Hey, weed is cool. Hey, I have like my grinder in my bag. I have a little case for my joints. I have pink joints. I have stickers. I decorate my bong with, it didn't really make the main waves until like right now, where people are realizing like weed is not just something you smoke. It's a fashion statement.
Right.
Like, and you have it in clothes, you have it in your hair, you have decals, you have fake tattoos, you have festivals, it's truly a lifestyle. Like, and there's no reason why the art shouldn't represent that part of it too.
Yeah.
True. Where can people see your art and your cannabis influencing?
My art is on Instagram. I am Visine Queen on Instagram. And then I also have the website, which is visinequeen.com.
All right, cool.
Si no estás haciendo todo igual, no tiene ningún color el paso que hace. Separa menos tiempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right, Culture Talk. Very excited to be in this episode with the two lovely ladies, Carla de Puerto Rico and Visine Queen.
Hello.
And what are we going to be talking about, Carla?
So we're going to be talking about colorism, and colorism specifically in Latino communities.
So what I don't understand is, what's the difference between colorism and racism?
Yeah, so colorism is a form of discrimination based on skin color, and it can happen with people within the same culture. So basically, it doesn't matter your financial status or anything like that. It's all based on how you look.
So discrimination based specifically on appearance.
Yeah.
All right. So, for example, like, people can be racist against, let's say, somebody from another country, an immigrant, like Italians. People are racist against Italians, or against, let's say, Muslims, different religion, Mexicans, right? You're from another country. Mm-hmm. But colorism, you can be from the same country. So you basically assign a value to a person's skin color.
Yeah.
Whether, depending on what culture you're in, maybe lighter is better or darker is better. Depending on what you're doing. Like, colorism could be negative in the sense, like, if somebody discriminates and says, well, I want my basketball players to be all black, all dark-skinned.
Because of their skin color and the way they look, they think that they're going to be better at that sport.
Or vice versa, if you say, I want my lawyer to be a white guy.
Exactly.
Because lighter skin is better for that, or whatever,
And in Latino cultures, it's very subtle. These discriminations happen in different ways because we are so mixed. It's not only because of the color of your skin, but it's also your facial features and how you look overall. And that's why it happens within the Black community and more in Latino communities, because it's like when they say, oh, you should marry a white man so para que limpie la raza, so you can clean the race. Yeah. Or just marry a white man so that your children have good hair, or stuff like that. There's a lot of comments in our communities.
Good hair like Visine Queen?
Yeah, she has beautiful hair.
This is the bad kind.
For them, exactly.
Bad meaning good.
Pelo malo.
Well, just so that let's do this because this is a podcast. This is all audio, so nobody can see us. Let's just do a quick description. Let's self-describe.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so I'll start with myself. I am a Colombian background, right? But I am light skinned.
Yeah.
I am. Sometimes people have said I even look like pale, like Dracula, because I have that very pale. I have very pale skin, and then I have very black hair,
Exactly.
and I have light brown eyes.
Yeah.
So I have a mixture. I have a European mixture, but I think there's no confusion. You know,
You look like a count.
Yeah, exactly.
Count Cortez.
Count Cortez. Yeah, I got that look. But there's no confusing. You know, when I meet people, they definitely assume I'm some sort of Mexican or Hispanic, or sometimes I'll get Italian, depending. Somebody who sees me, they might think I'm Italian or Greek or things like that. But that's what I grew up in, and my brother is darker skin. My brother's a lot more.
El más indio.
Yeah, he's more like we say Indian. Yeah. My mother's very light skinned. My father's light skinned, blue eyes. My father has blue eyes.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm pretty Latino looking, but on the very light side. I'm the lightest shade of brown you could find. What about you, Carla?
I am Puerto Rican, but I look what they call. People say that I look Mexican because I am like my skin is brown, kind of like light brown, I would say. And I look like a little indigenous person. My hair is straight. My hair is super straight. I have big lips, and my eyes are like very achinados. How you call that in English?
Asiatic.
Chinky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Asiatic, Asian looking.
Yeah, like Asian looking. So I have like a little combination. Sometimes I definitely don't look like a definition of a Puerto Rican, but yeah, I look like an indigenous person.
Right.
Yeah.
And Visine?
Which we are, anyways. because
Exactly,
We are.
yeah.
Okay, I am a meat popsicle. No. Do you remember that from The Sixth Sense? I'm so old. Not The Sixth Sense. The Fifth Element. No, I'm Dominican by culture, family descendant. I'm American. I'm dark skinned. I'm black. I'm honestly not too far off from Carla's skin tone, but facial features and the hair and everything else kind of puts me more in the black area. So depending on who you are and where you come from, you could say I'm black. You could say I'm Jamaican. I had somebody ask me, oh my God, if I was from Ghana. I had a guy the other day tell me that I look straight black, that I don't look Dominican at all, that if I just learn Spanish from learning it. So, I mean, it depends. Like right now I have curly hair. I usually do have it straight, but right now it's curly and a fro. And like I said, it really depends on who I'm speaking to because I could be either or. I've had people argue with me and tell me that I'm not Dominican or that I just learned the Spanish. Yeah, I've also had people not speak to me until they realize that I speak Spanish or that I am Latino. So it really depends where you are or where you go.
Yeah, for me, it's just crazy how people can just have like a argument with you about something that you know. Of course, yeah, I am Dominican. I was raised Dominican. I was born in a Dominican family. How are you gonna tell me no, you're not? It was all in your imagination. It was just a dream.
Yeah, I think.
Or I'll have people tell me that I'm not black because I didn't grow up in the black culture per se.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the Latino Dominican culture in a Dominican house amongst Dominicans who, as people know, are usually very racist. And my family actually is extremely racist. So, you know, even me calling myself black right now, if I was to say that around my mom, she'll tell me, stop saying that. Don't say that.
Right.
Don't say you're black. And it's like, hello, like, are you blind? You're looking at me and that's what you see. So, I mean, unfortunately, that term is a negative term to some people, and some Latinos do not want to be regarded as black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think. Well, I know. Okay, so in my immediate family, my grandmother is an example of somebody in my family that had features that I never really could pinpoint. My grandmother looked she almost looked Philippine. She almost looked like Asiatic to an extent.
Yeah.
I never really pinpointed what her background would be like, but it definitely was a cue to me that my family comes from other places and it's not just European. in my personal experience, and now this is my woe is me moment, but in my personal experience, yeah, I got some, people throwing stuff at me for my appearance. In Latin communities, I tend to look very white, Americanized. When they see me, they
Acceptable.
Or I mean, in some places they would actually be a little like weird to me because they were like, well, you have like Asian hair, because my hair is very black and straight. So they were like, you have Asian hair. You look light skinned, so you don't look like you're down. Like to some people they might get that impression like I'm not part of them. And I guess it's how you take that information. Like for me, I took it as like more a learning information I had to learn from. I took it as something to learn from and to build off of in communicating with other Latinos. But because there was so many people around me, they're so mixed that you kind of, as a Latino growing up, you kind of understand that there's a lot of variety in the looks, and there's no positive or negative. I think this conversation we're having right now in this section is more about how people take that information and how they use it. They weaponize it. They use it as a negative.
Exactly.
Because I don't think between us here we've really used it as negatives towards other Latinos, but I think it can be weaponized, right?
No, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, that it comes from whatever people lived over there. And we see it when I was back in Puerto Rico. I will watch novelas and I will watch TV shows, and everybody that was there, it was very light skinned. I had a friend that she's black and she's morena, like morena straightforward, and she lives in Puerto Rico. And thinking about it, I never saw anybody like her in TV shows or in reality shows or in novelas in Puerto Rico, living over there. Starting over there, you see all that representation in the media. Then you move to the United States, where everything is even more segregated, because back in Puerto Rico, we don't talk about racism because it's something supposedly that it doesn't exist. But then when you think about it, yeah, it does. When you see what is being represented, what is being called beautiful, you see that, yeah, we have something that we don't talk about. But then when you come here, I think that it becomes clear that we need to have this conversation, because it's something that we ignore and that is not part of our communities back in Latin American countries. But because here you have to be either black or Latino or white, it's difficult for somebody that looks black but is Latino to say, oh, I'm an Afrolatina, or I'm an Afrolatino. And people don't understand it, and they say, no, you're black or you're Latino. Why I cannot be both?
Yeah.
Every nation in the world has an indigenous group of people or a group of natives, and they've literally, for the most part, have always been black. So the skin color, the tone, the lifestyle of itself of being a dark-skinned person is all around the world.
Exactly.
It's not just us that we happen to look this way or have been the result of that way or have been the what's left of the natives that were pillaged in our nations. We're not just the only ones that were created from this massacre. There are people who are genuinely have continued that lineage because they've always looked that way. So it's like the brown has always been the native, and what you're seeing, right, is the breakdown right now of the eradication of the native, because that's what's been going on for maybe the last 1,000 years. They're trying to like wipe out any type of ideal of a dark-skinned person, but they can't, especially at this point. People are rising against anything they don't believe in that doesn't make them happy. And right now we're a part of that. We're a part of shutting that mentality down. Like, if there's no space for the black Afro-Latino, there's going to be from now on. We're going to make it. It's going to be here. Like, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I think one of the, so to swing back to the topic, because I know we were going to talk about Amara, right?
Yeah.
Amara La Negra. But to swing back to that topic, and I think this, for me, this bridges this conversations is, so growing up, I didn't really see it on TV because I didn't pay attention. So I didn't really see whether there was light or dark. But I grew up listening to salsa music played by Afrolatinos.
Exactly.
So I grew up listening to them, but not seeing them. And never understanding why I wasn't seeing them And I think now we can understand why we only listened and danced to them, but didn't see them. Yeah. They weren't featured as much as they could be on television for us to see, and it's because they were Afro-Latinos, and they were all around us, and we were the ones partying together, all of us, but we never realized that they weren't being featured. They weren't given their shine as much as the lighter-skinned people when it came to regular broadcast television, I guess. I remember when Celia Cruz was the big, Afro-Latina on TV, and it would always be she would appear, but it would always be with comments. You would hear comments, la morena, and she would play into that and be like, yeah, la morena con el sabor y con el tumbao and everything like that. But there's an acknowledgement that yes, she knew she was going to be criticized, I think, in my background, Colombia, it would be Joey Arroyo. Joey Arroyo, one of the biggest names of salsa for Colombia and Colombian music, and his Afro-Latino look and his African, his uplifting of the African sound and bringing it putting it on a pedestal, where it's undeniable, yet, if when they do the novela for him, they pick the lighter-skinned, model-looking guy to represent Joey Arroyo. The same thing with the Celia Cruz novela. They picked a lighter-skinned, like a more model-looking kind of. And this always happens when they want to portray somebody in a novela. They try to make it more visually pleasing. So now we get to some of our favorite musicians that are realizing our favorite musicians that might be either Afro-Latino or even African-American, and they don't, when they get to be represented visually, they get criticized, right? Because if they want to be as African as they want to be, they get judged.
Yeah,
right?
And that's the thing with Amara La Negra and what happened with her, right? So we know Amara La Negra was in Love and Hip Hop Miami. So she's a singer, and she has been a singer and a dancer for the longest. And she's black.
She's Dominican, right?
She's Dominican.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And she's black, and she has curves, and she has a full body, and she has an afro. And I think that the whole conversation about Amara started because in the Love and Hip Hop show, one guy that unfortunately he's Puerto Rican supposedly, said like, oh, but you are Afro-Latina because you have an afro? That's why you're Afro-Latina? And she was like, what are you talking about? You don't look at me. And yes, I have an afro, but I'm black. And yes, I'm an Afro-Latina. How is it that you don't understand that this is a term? And yeah, this is happening, and this is who I am. Who are you to say you need to be more Beyonce, or you need to be, or maybe if you have your hair down, or if you use wigs, what the fuck? So this is what happened with Amara La Negra, and I think that Amara La Negra is a good example that we need representation. We need people like her. We need people like me. We need people like Visine Queen in media, not only in the United States, but in our own countries, so we can feel like we're being represented.
So I've been following Amara. I mean, I remember her when I was younger, but I didn't see her till recently, before she was on the show. So I started following her and just seeing her lifestyle. I actually seen of her at an Afro-Latino festival that they have in New York City. She was there last summer. She did a speech, and then she also performed. And that's when I first saw her, because I follow a group of a lot of Latino girls from the different islands, from Puerto Rico and from DR, that represent a lot of Afro-Latino activities. So I seen her movement, and I really appreciate it. And I see how she kind of carries it on her shoulders. And a lot of people are corny about, oh, she's still promoting her career. Well, yeah, she's still trying to be famous. But at the end of the day, she's still repping for us as harder than anybody I've ever seen go that looks like her. And what you were just explaining, Carla, is something called gaslighting. So I think a lot of women need to become familiar with all these different terms so you can address what these people do. So gaslighting, what it is when you explain yourself to someone and they kind of laugh back in your face at what you're saying, and then when you start to defend yourself, they kind of turn it around and talk about your attitude, your behavior. Well, you were being loud, but you were being confrontational. Well, you were talking too much. Why are you attacking me? I mean, it's not an attack. She's explaining to you that you're offending her by telling her that her hair has something to do with her Afrolatinidad. At the end of the day, she was explaining to him who she is as a person. And you're basically telling her that I will accept you more as a human being when your hair is straightened, when you look more civilized. So aside from him saying that to her when she blew up in his face, he turned it back on her. He said, hey, hold on, you're attacking me. I didn't say anything to you. Take it down a notch, slow it down. And it's like, this behavior, what does it do? In the end, it gets you more angry, more aggravated. And now you might turn into the quote unquote angry black girl.
Exactly.
So it's a lose-lose, but you have to turn it around on these people. And she did turn it around on him, and it kind of backfired on him either way. But it was fun to see that, because that's a conversation everybody that looks like her has all the time.
Yeah. Have you ever
all the time?
You ever been trapped in that conversation?
I have, man. Just with the consistent questions of what are you? What do you look like? Well, why do you look that way? But do you have this? Or like, is this a wig? Like, why would this be a wig? Like, it's just the incredulous amount of questions that people approach you with, that they feel that it's okay to ask you about you as a person, as a human. It's like you're a walking experiment. I was just at a job that I was working for briefly, and I remember someone like stood next to me and they just started playing with my hair. Oh, your hair is so pretty. And it's like and I couldn't say anything because she's like, tu pelo es tan bonito, qué lindo se ve rizo. And I don't wanna disrespect her by telling her, don't fucking touch my hair, because old Spanish people don't care. They do whatever the hell they want. So I'm just like, sí, gracias, like a pendeja.
Oh my God.
I had no choice, but this is what it is. People like us are consistently on display. It's so sordid. It's so sordid. And we need to constantly talk about everything that's happened, because if we don't, we're going to keep forgetting why these things happen. People do stuff like that because people were actually on display in zoos, in places as here, touch this human. Here, look, a black person behind a cage, an Indian person behind a cage. They were actually doing this at some point. This still carries on today.
Yeah, I was showing Carla this YouTube video that was talking about human zoos and all that kind of stuff, and eugenics, how eugenics are used or were used, probably still used. The fake science,
they are
racist
They're
science.
Still used.
Yeah, the concepts of what is the superior, what is the inferior race, what is an ideal race. If you know that there's a weaker race, then we have to get rid of that race because we need the perfect race, we need the best race. And it's usually all based on bullshit. All this fake science is usually based on religion. It's based on politics, economical gain. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A lot of this mentality came from people trying to justify, especially in the United States, people trying to scientifically justify slavery.
Financially trying to justify.
Yeah. Why?
Because they know it's wrong, but they just didn't want to work. They came here for a new world, for them to make other people work.
And I guess we know that scientists can be bought, because obviously a big example is like tobacco, how they, scientists came up with bogus ways of explaining tobacco and just put this explanation on the packaging and it'll be fine. Yeah. But tobacco is something that was killing people. There's a lot of things that if you want to get away with something and you got a financial reason to get away with something, you can hire a scientist to twist the facts in your favor and make it sound like it's science fact instead of science fiction, which a lot of this eugenics and racism concepts, came from.
Yeah. But going back to what Visine was saying about the lady touching her hair.
Yeah.
Every time I hear things like that, I'm like, but that's just, it's general rules of respect. You just don't touch
Black people don't get those. Black people don't get those.
I'm like,
when you're black, you don't get that. You get to do what we want to do to you. Well, I don't get it either, but it's the worst. It's the worst thing in the world. We were doing a wall. I don't remember if you were there because my memory is trash, but we were doing a wall in Kingston, New York. That's upstate New York. And there was a restaurant right near where the wall, they were doing it on these trains. It's like a train museum. Okay. So there's like a restaurant right near there, a nice tavern, very large, very pretty, very Caucasian. So I walk inside and I go to purchase a drink, like a soda or something small, fries or whatever. Literally walk to the bar. I'm waiting for someone to pay attention. There's a man here, there's a man behind the bar, and there's a girl behind the bar. And there was more people around. So they took a moment to like serve me. It was like they kept like falling over their words because they didn't really want to kind of like talk to me. And the girl finally was like, what can I help you with, hun? And then I told her. So while I'm waiting for her to serve it to me, there's a guy next to me and he looks at me from head to toe. He was like, are you good? Like, basically like, why are you in here? I was like, yeah, are you good? Like, and then the owner was just staring at me like puffing and puffing, like waiting for me to walk out. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I didn't even do anything. I'm just buying something. But it's like, some people just don't want you around, or they want to play with you and like prick at you and poke at you like you're a specimen or something, like, or they want to just offend you. Well, people have to understand that even though you want to lend a lot of energy to this behavior, you have to try not to. Because the same way it happens as often as it does, you can't react every single time. You really do have to understand how to take it in, walk away, leave, give it a smile. Because honestly, life is too short to be giving into every single time something like this happens, you know? It's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't know.
Because you want to approach the conversation and you want to give somebody a lesson and teach them stuff and everything. But sometimes it's not even worth it.
Yeah,
it's not
they
even,
don't wanna...
the person, the specimen in front of you isn't even worth the talk. And they're not even worth the explanation.
Exactly.
Because they're not going to learn nothing. They just want to treat you like crap because they have you in front of them.
I guess the point there is don't fight with everyone, pick and choose your battles. But when what I would say is, but when you do have that pinnacle moment, when you do have a moment in your life that is significant, don't be afraid to speak up. Because there will be that time where you will realize...
When it's worth your time, when it's worth your energy.
Yeah.
But this lifestyle, like, there's a reason why African Americans have the highest level of hypertension by medical studies. It's because of this constant negativity. It's this constant feel of this backlash or this apprehension that you walk around with, because you know already what your life is. You know already what you're going to deal with every time you're around 5 or 6 white people, or you're in a place where it's more them than you, or you're on the bus, or you're in a store waiting for something, or like anything. You just know, like, there's a pretty good chance, or you're driving, you know, and there are cops around, like, which just happened to me not so long ago. I just beat a ticket.
There's so many things that we as minorities, African American and Latinos, have to deal with, and on top of that, to have to deal with our own issues within our own communities, like what is colorism. It's very sad, because it's like, from the people that you're supposed to have the support, the people that you're supposed to be, exactly, your community, the people that are supposed to have your back, and you're not getting it just because of the color of your skin. And then when they come here, they don't understand that when they put all of us in a spectrum, we're all minorities. For them, we're all nothing. So then why are you going to be against somebody that is equal to you at the eyes of others? And it's just, it's crazy.
I think that's the other problem with that is, unfortunately, because we are raised within this system, you know, of what is better or worse or equal. Yeah. All of those things are bad. Yeah. They're all bad, whether it's better, worse, or equal. The fact that you put yourself on a scale is the problem.
I mean,
well, it relates to the paintings, and we were talking about the European view of art. It's the European lifestyle. It's the Eurocentric beginnings. It's the fact that most of the teachings in this life, or the understanding of what a native is, although we have pyramids in most of our countries and all these advanced different hieroglyphics and technological advances before things even happened, we're still represented as people that ran around in loincloths. Yeah. So we're consistently treated amongst each other like we're nothing. So to please the one who has the reins, we treat each other like shit. To please the one who actually has the control, we want to show them that we hold you, our own, as a low regard. So we want to consistently remind each other our place in the world. Like, I've dressed up as Wednesday Addams for Halloween. I don't care what color you are. If I like you, I'm going to dress like you. So I've been in families' houses who are Dominican, and they'll send somebody, excuse me, are you supposed to be Wednesday Addams? And I was, why? Oh no, just asking. Say it though, because I'm black. And since I'm black, I can't dress like Wednesday because she's white. Say it. Or when I dress, the way we all dress, urban, sneakers, whatever. Ay, pero tú te viste como que tú te crees como que tú eres blanca. Oh, you dress like you think you're white. What part of my outfit is representation of a different culture? Like, but this is the constant. It's we're holding each other at a measuring level all the time. Who's better? Who's better? Yeah. Who's better under the eyes of the white man? Who's better under the eyes of this white man? Do we match up to him? Are we good enough for them? And it's sickening already. Yeah. It's sickening.
Colorism. So colorism, colorism in television. I've heard explanations for it in the past of why there's more white people, or were. I mean, they still are, but why there were more white people in television than dark skin. One explanation from a technical perspective was that it was because television was black and white and it was so difficult.
Bye.
I've heard that.
Bye.
No, exactly. But this is what you hear. This is what you hear. I've heard that because television was black and white and it was difficult to balance skin tones, right? Because you had very light skinned people, very pale skinned people, and then you had black people, and they would the balance, the camera could not balance between the two. You know.
Yeah.
They got some nerve.
Yeah.
But they used to put white people painted as black people on TV shows.
Exactly.
So you could see them just fine on the black and white screen.
Everything could be explained away, right? Like
Sure.
if you really want an explanation, you can find some scientific or technical reason why you can't do it.
Exactly.
Instead of just, now you're gonna have to accept it. Now the camera looks like this. Make better cameras. Like, what the hell's the problem, right? If that's the problem, make a better camera. I think colorism on TV is still a thing. You still see it. Everything's still very whitewashed. It's a shame. You feel it, right? When you see a movie that doesn't have when you see a movie that is cast in a way that they really incorporate all types of looks and all types of sizes and proportions and everything. Like when you see a cast of a movie or a television show that is very mixed, you really see it, and especially the languages. When you hear the different languages, you really feel it. It feels a little more authentic, right?
Yeah, it does.
So, I think to wrap this up, because I knew it was gonna be a loaded conversation.
Yeah.
And we got no solutions. We got no solutions.
No, there are solutions. There are things that are changing. Like, for Amara to be able to say everything that she said in this short time frame is appreciative. There are things that are changing.
Yeah.
It's just going to take a long time. So there are a few girls that are doing their part to kill it in the Afro-Dominican mentality, natural views of people, of Dominican women in the world, and just dark-skinned people in general. So I have one person, her name is Carolina. Her Instagram is Miss_Rizos, Rizos. And she actually, she does a lot of activism here and in the Dominican Republic, and she owns a hair salon in Santo Domingo where she only does natural hair.
Oh, wow.
And she consistently does different seminars, classes, workshops, free hairstyles for kids so they can embrace their Dominican side. Like, when I found her page, I almost cried because I never thought I would actually see people out there on the land adopting this. That's it. I'm natural. I'm this, and you're not going to take this away from me. And I'm like super proud of her. She does so many different things in the space. There's also Zahira at bad_Dominicana. She's been like one of the main, if not the main, activists for the Afro-Latino culture for the past maybe like 11 years.
Wow.
Since I started my website, she's been on Tumblr talking her shit, Twitter talking her shit. She does a lot of she does TED Talks, Howard University talks, Harvard. She's done a million different talks, just being like real Dominican, real, speaking on the colonialism and everything that's, happened to us as a nation. There's also two girls that are like poets that they're here in New York. One is Danielle. Her Instagram is Afro-Dominican, the letter X, things. She's a poet, and she was actually recognized by a few different schools for her efforts. She's a graduate of John Jay Criminal Justice from my school. And she's really young, and these kids are like killing it with their spoken word and their positive message of just Black people and Afrolatinos. And another girl who she went to school with as well, feminist. Her Instagram is Feminist Mommy, and her name is Melania. Also another poet and speaker. So these girls are just like really representative of the space, and they're consistently doing stuff outside with the people, with children, with adults. I'm sorry. There's one more person that I totally forgot.
Go for it.
There's a girl named Claribel. Her Instagram is Dominicans Love Haitians Movement. And she's like super important to the conversation because we have to kill this barrier that Dominicans have against Haitians for the same reason why white and Black people have the problem in this country.
Yeah.
The lack of the conversation of the slavery that was had, the division of people because of the Spaniards, what they left behind after they divided the people, what happened after the Haitians freed themselves and tried to enslave the Dominicans or did enslave them. It's a conversation that we consistently need to have, especially when the grandson of Trujillo just said that he would like a wall.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Done between Haiti and DR. And it's like, Yeah, ya empezó. That's not the conversation we need to have. And
Exactly.
what disgusts me the most is, why is the media giving you an ear? There's no reason why anyone with the name Trujillo should ever be regarded in the media. In any way, for everything your family has done, you should never talk. But this is what I'm saying. The media is the disgusting devil. They always want to put these ideas in the people's minds. So we need all kinds of kids and the youth to argue against this stuff every day.
All right, thank you.
You wanted me to teach you, right? Street reality.
Ahora sí, hablando español, Carla.
Sí, vamos a hablar español con Visine Queen.
Visine Queen. Visine Queen. La reina del Visine.
La reina del Visine.
There you go. All right, so just in case some of y'all new people to the podcast might not know, Hablando Español is a section where Carla will recap some of the words that we've spoken about, but in Spanish, so that we could have some of this vocabulary, English and Spanish.
Yeah.
And then we'll try to challenge her at the end.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carla, give us some words.
So, beauty.
In Spanish.
Belleza.
Yes.
She's got it, Belleza. All right, very good.
Okay.
1 for 1.
How do you say artifact in Spanish?
Did you say artifact?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, I don't know.
It's very similar.
No, I don't know.
Okay, go
Okay.
I don't know.
So you say it is artefacto.
Okay, artefacto.
Arti or arte?
Artefacto.
Artefacto.
Yeah.
Artefacto.
There you go. Got it.
Okay. So the next one is beautiful. How do you say beautiful in Spanish?
I think it would be bella, no?
Yeah, like bello or bella.
Okay. Okay.
Next one is dangerous. How do you say dangerous?
Peligroso.
Yes.
Yeah, she knows her stuff, man. Come on, Carla, you gotta dig
I
in a little
told
deeper in this.
you. Okay. Next one is ideals.
What was that?
Ideals.
Oh,
Ideals.
I
Like an
wouldn't
ideal,
know.
like an ideal.
Yeah.
thing. I think I got it.
No, it's more like like what you with like your mentality. Go ahead, you do it.
How do you say?
Ideal?
Yeah, but because it is ideals, is ideales.
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 Ideales. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So the next one is Greek. How do you say Greek in Spanish?
Greek. Grecio, no?
Griego.
Griego.
Yeah.
Griego. ¿Y qué es
Griego.
greco?
Greco?
El greco.
Será el
Oh, that's
Greco?
Italian probably for Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Griego. Got it.
All right, crossover.
Next one will be toys. How do you say toys in Spanish?
Toys.
like juguetes?
There
Yeah.
you go. Juguetes.
Uh-huh.
All right. Easy. Man, you gotta... Come on, Carla. You came easy. Were you trying to be nice to Visine? Trying to give her the easy ones?
No.
She did. Thank you.
Yeah, she did.
Okay, the next one is Roman. How do you say Roman?
Romano.
Yes.
Romano. Okay.
Okay. Next one is fertility.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
Fertility. Fertilidad.
Yeah.
Fertilidad. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't-
You think really? You're looking for words.
I'm looking for words to challenge
Okay.
you a little more.
The
Gonna
next
start
one.
bringing out the books.
Uh-huh. The next one is elegant. How do you say elegant in Spanish?
Elegancia.
Elegante.
Elegante. Right. So elegancia is elegance. Elegante is elegant.
Yeah.
All right.
So next one is movement. How do you say movement in Spanish?
Movimiento.
Yes.
Bingo. Carla, you...
And the last one that I have over here is abstract. How do you say abstract in Spanish?
I have no idea.
Is abstracto.
Oh,
I thought, but I didn't want to sound stupid.
Abstracto. No, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Do
it.
you have any words?
All right. Well, I mean, I guess something that I would say is we were talking about feminine beauty. So, how do you say feminine? That's an easy one.
Not femenina, no? Femenina?
Yeah.
So is it femenina or femenino?
What?
So if I say
Give me a sentence.
belleza
Femenina.
Belleza femenina.
femenina,
Yeah.
arte
Femenino.
femenino.
Yeah.
Okay, so it would depend on what is
The word coming in
before it. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
What about, how do you say ancient?
It's not antiguo? Antiguo?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
In a
Antiguo.
second, let's go to Google.
Okay,
Oh my
Google it.
God.
Oh my God.
No trust.
It is antiguo.
I think that's antique.
Antiguo.
Oh, it's not anciano?
It's
Anciano's an old person.
Yeah, it is antique.
Yeah.
All right, you got it.
Pasó el examen.
So did you, Carla. All right, wait up. Wait. Hey, I got
Oh, you have
wait.
another one?
Yeah.
What?
How do you say century?
Damn, yo.
How do you say century?
Century is siglo.
Oh, that's why I can't remember.
Wow, siglo.
'Cause it's totally
Century.
different.
Yeah, that's completely different. Siglo.
Yeah, that is very different.
That one would have thrown me off. So
Yeah.
century is siglo. All right. And I think, yeah, now that's it.
That's it?
You're off the hook this time,
Pasaste el
Carla.
I should know
examen.
better.
Yay.
All right, another episode wrapped up and put away.
Yes.
Thank you, Visine Queen, for being a guest.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
You guys can't see this, but there's a cloud of smoke all over the place. This whole place, whenever she's in the house, the whole place is foggy.
It's transferring over there.
Getting that contact from way over here. But where can people find you and find all of your cannabis
Influence.
Everyone can find me on Instagram. Again, it's Visine Queen. And I also have the website, visinequeen.com, but mostly on Instagram. And that's it, pretty much.
All right, cool.
If you Google me, you'll see a bunch of other stuff as well, but Instagram mainly.
All right, maybe next time we have you on here, we'll talk about your art and explore a little more of your art origins.
Okay. That will be fun.
All right, thank you. Next episode is episode 20, podcasting, because we're such experts now,
Yeah.
right? We're going to be discussing some of the things that we've learned so far in this podcast adventure. How to record, how to organize, all those good details, tips and tricks for
How
anybody
to promote.
interested. Yeah,
Yeah.
for people interested in podcasting.
Yeah, and on Culture Talk, we're gonna be talking and reviewing Like Water for Chocolate.
What? Finally.
Yes.
Because that is a movie that has all the things we've talked about: art, poetry,
Magical realism.
and mothers.
Family.
And mothers.
And mothers. More importantly, mothers.
And at the end will be
Hablando español.
deuces.